Johnny English is daring. Johnny English is dashing.
Agent 1, you overestimate your power over women.
I'd say that would be virtually impossible.
Johnny English is dreaming.
English!
Gentlemen, Agent 1.
Hello?
This is Intelligence Headquarters. Remember when I told you the only way you'd become an agent was if all the other agents were dead? Well, put some bloody clothes on and get over here right away.
Thank you, sir.
You're unbelievable.
Johnny English. A good agent doesn't need gadgets. The only gadgets I've ever needed are a sharp eye, a finely tuned ear, and a slightly bigger brain than is strictly necessary.
Oh, well, none of us is perfect.
When the future of England is threatened,
get out there and save your country.
British intelligence is coming.
I had his flat bugged.
Eventually. From the producers of Bean.
You're so hot.
Rowan Atkinson.
He might be a fool. But he's a fool who keeps showing up.
Johnny, be careful.
I'm always careful. Oh.
Johnny English.
They say that sea urchin's the ultimate acquired taste.
It's a personal favorite of mine. Excuse me. Yes, I am sorry. Johnny English, I'm a secret agent. Sorry, I am sorry. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry.
Welcome to They Called Us a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Called Us a Movie. We are part of the Main Naming Network. To find more from us, check out the website at themainnaming.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Naming. We are also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com. Welcome back to They Called Us a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio, and with me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Myers. Say hello, gentlemen.
How's it going, everyone?
Good. I thought it was crazy at first, guys, but I think it was a good idea doing back-to-back Eric Roberts movies. But I just...
Oh, no. What'd you watch?
Wait, we weren't watching all the Stalked by My Doctors in a row?
Oh, no, Mark.
We'll have to pause this recording. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Okay. We will hold down the fort until you get back.
Although I can't say I'm not jealous. That is pretty awesome.
Tell us about the Sexomnia episode, episode 4.
So you see when... No.
Welcome back to They Called Us a Movie, and we're going to skip what we usually do during this quarantine when we talk about what we've watched, because we basically didn't watch much. And it's pretty much easier to just go right into the movie we did watch. So this week, this was a listener choice. So Dan, do you want to kind of give us a little bit of a introduction to what movie we picked?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Anthony said, this was a listener pick. So quick shout out to listener Jake. Thank you for the recommendation. And our good friend of the podcast, Jake, chose Johnny English. Why he chose Johnny English? Not a clue. Maybe he was watching it and he was like, yeah, this would be a good episode. Either way, thank you for the recommendation. So this week's episode is the Rowan Atkinson vehicle, Johnny English. Not to be confused with Johnny English Reborn, because I started to watch that and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. So they're both on Netflix, and I'm glad I didn't get further than 10 minutes into Reborn, because I would have hated myself even more knowing that I would have to watch the first Johnny English. That would have been my personal
Yeah, because you would have already been spoiled.
Right. Oh, yeah, because he lives.
Would you be surprised to know that there was a third Johnny English movie that came out in 2018?
2018, yeah. Unbelievable. I want to start this episode with a hot take, and all of our fans across the pond might get angry and boycott us. I don't know what you guys see in Rowan Atkinson. Like is that just like a strictly English thing? Like that's their humor? Like, oh, that old British humor. Because he's awful. I don't get it.
Wow.
I thought he was like king of the pratfall and everything, slapstick. I don't see it, man. Not at least in this movie. Maybe in Reborn, but not here.
Maybe he figures it out in the sequel.
Maybe he hits his stride.
Yeah, his only real pratfall physical comedy is when he gets the muscle relaxer. But that's really the only time.
I know his whole claim to fame was Mr. Bean, and I'm sure it's great if you like poop jokes and fart jokes, because this movie is pretty rife with that. God, I expected better.
So have you ever seen Mr. Bean?
I saw some of the old sketches from when I was a kid, and it didn't make me laugh then. And I'm not going to say I'm an auteur of comedy here. Like I'm not the end all be all of comedy, but and it doesn't take a lot to make me laugh. You guys know this.
Yeah.
I laugh at the stupidest stuff ever, and I can say in all honesty, not a single laugh was had at this movie at my expense.
So the Mr. Bean isn't your Umbrella Academy to me.
No, I've actually watched Mr. Bean. Sorry.
Mark, Rowan Atkinson, where are you coming from?
So, he's part of the actors that I put in the Pantheon, which ad nauseum that I've said to you, and is that a great comedic actor can always be really good in dramatic straight roles. It's very hard to do the vice versa. And whenever he gets to play a character where he's not doing the slapstick and he's not doing, the gags and all, and just playing something like with a little bit of a wink and a nod sort of thing. Like I always bring up Love Actually, those little bits that he's in there. He still has a little bit of comic to him, but he's not making it as like, haha, you're supposed to laugh at this. It's just very well done. I've seen the Bean movies. Again, for some reason, my mother made us watch them because she loved them. So I was like, you got to watch this. But I don't remember having any affinity for wanting to go back to them. But I do kind of get that, what he's famous for. Watching this movie, because I've heard of it, haven't actually been able to see it. But my hot take is that this might have been, for the time, the best Bond movie to come out in 10 years at this point, when this was released in 2003. This movie gets all of the right trappings with what made good Bond movies, but tries to put like a bumbling idiot being in those situations. But all the, sneaking in through the windows on the side of a building, jumping out of a plane, or secret henchmen doing identity swaps with people, secret DVDs where the plan is revealed by the villain, all that stuff. But then just instead of James Bond or Sean Connery or something, you drop Johnny English into it, and it's supposed to be hilarity ensues.
I don't know how you both could sit here with a straight face and tell me this movie is better than anything.
Have you watched Die Another Day?
I've seen almost every Bond movie, and I could say that this movie can't hold a candle to a single James Bond movie.
You have not watched Quantum of Solace.
I think that's one of the only ones I have not watched. I probably missed 3 that I can think of.
This movie is not even the worst James Bond movie that these writers have written.
It's literally, the setup is Johnny English goes somewhere, he goes to the wrong place, his sidekick goes to the right place, and has to remind him that he's in the wrong place. That's this movie.
Look, I am not going to say that I wasn't bored out of my mind. Yeah. It took me all afternoon to watch this a second time. It started it at 3. Well. It started at 3. I didn't finish it until 8:30.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. To me, again, this came out in 2003, a different time, obviously. But even in 2003, I couldn't imagine a single joke landing.
I laughed once, and we'll get into the spot where I laughed at, and it's completely a stupid joke that is not really dwelled on, but it made me like chuckle a little bit. But yeah. So I'm not a big Bond fan. I'll say that right out of the gate. I think there are more bad Bond movies than there are good Bond movies.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that as a Bond fan.
I liked Mr. Bean as a kid. I haven't revisited in my adulthood. I'm assuming I would not. He's kind of like Weird Al for me. Great for kids, and there's still people as adults that like appreciate him and love him. I don't get it. Like,
yeah.
I don't get Weird Al. Like, I don't get adults loving Weird Al. I get kids loving Weird Al. I don't get adults loving Weird Al. And the same thing with Mr. Bean. I totally understand why kids would love Mr. Bean. Wouldn't understand someone that's like a diehard Mr. Bean fan as an adult. Just seems weird to me. Seems like infantilizing adulthood, you know, and
right.
Society. But
I'll tell you what. To me, Rowan Atkinson is a poor man's Leslie Nielsen.
Sure. This feels like Naked Gun if nobody else in the story was in on the joke. Because that's the whole thing about the Naked Gun movies. Like, it's a spoof, but like everybody's a buffoon, really. Yes. Like George Kennedy's a buffoon, O.J. Simpson's a buffoon. Like, but Frank Drebin is always the biggest buffoon of everybody.
Yes.
But even like the gunfights are, you know, they're both sitting on one side of a box, on either side of a box, and they can't hit each other.
Right, they're 2 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gags are so much better.
Like. Yeah. This feels like a buffoon, like Frank Drebin walking through Lethal Weapon.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
And in Naked Gun series, he always stumbles into the solution. In this, he doesn't even stumble into anything. It's he goes out of his way all the time to some completely unnecessary scene, and it's the partner who does the right thing. He doesn't even succeed in getting the villain to admit that he's wrong, essentially. Like, the villain does it himself. It's like one of those things where it's like a SpongeBob episode where the bully kidnaps, or like Plankton kidnaps SpongeBob, and SpongeBob just annoys the shit out of Plankton. It's like, all right, I'm done with this. That's essentially what happens here. John Malkovich just gets so tired of Johnny English's bullshit. He's like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm giving myself up. So he just annoys the villain into admitting he's wrong.
Sure.
Right?
I kind of like the switcheroo of the sidekick always being so it's kind of like Big Trouble in Little China.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China is the buffoon in that movie, and it's always his sidekick that like saves the day, basically. It's really his story.
That's true.
I feel like they could have played that up a little bit more. It's also like Green Hornet-ish too, where Kato is Bruce Lee of you know, of course. So it's like obviously he's the better one. I didn't hate this movie. I was just bored out of my mind. But the one thing I'll say is it made me watch the Natalie Imbruglia Torn music video like 4 or 5 times. She was cute as hell. And I feel like I did not appreciate it in 1997 because I was 12 and she had short hair. And I feel like when you're 12, you haven't really created a taste. You like women, but it's very generic in terms of what you like. So that's like why Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy were like sex symbols, like blonde hair, big boobs. That's like the minimum that you know about women is like, I don't know, but gutturally, I like big boobs, and blonde hair seems to be the way to go.
And then you mature into an ass man. That's just the cycle of life, you know?
I mean, like, Natalie Imbruglia does not fit that role, though. She's very waifish, but she's super cute in that video, though. Yeah, and if you're my age and you're in your 30s now and you haven't revisited it, go in. She's like 22 at the time. Yeah. Super cute. She's wearing like a sweatshirt. Totally down for it.
I was surprised to find out she was 28 in this movie. I thought she would be like in her 30s at least by this point. I didn't realize how young she was in the Torn video. The thing I was going to say about her was like, I can't be the only one that thinks this role was first offered to Kylie Minogue and she said no.
I was trying to think of why she's in this movie. I don't know what it is. She was in that soap opera in Australia.
EastEnders, I believe,
right?
Yeah,
EastEnders or something like that. Whatever that's called. And that's like really her only role that she's ever had. So it was like, that was like 10 years before this movie ever came out. Why all of a sudden her? It's entirely, I never even thought about Kylie Minogue. I could see that. Yeah. Natalie Imbruglia seems like a Bond girl, though, really. Yeah. She's like sort of Australian, sort of British.
I think she's from Sydney, Australia.
She's from Australia, yeah.
Yeah.
She was like she was the highlight to me. She wasn't in enough as far as I was concerned.
Exactly.
I don't think there was any highlights in this movie.
There's got to be a highlight.
She doesn't do
John
anything.
Malkovich's hair.
Yeah, maybe John Malkovich.
No.
His terrible French accent.
He's so bad in this movie.
He is very bad. That's what I'm saying. There's really nothing good.
That's
but
why
there's always a highlight. You know, there's always the brightest part of a picture. It's all relative, but there's the brightest part of a picture, and that's the highlight. For me, that was Natalie Imbruglia.
That's why I was specific about his hair. Not him in this movie.
I'm trying to think. Well, Mr. Gibbs from Pirates of the Caribbean is in this movie. He's okay, I guess. I don't know.
The partners, but I agree that Natalie Imbruglia was the highlight. She should have been in it a little bit more. They should have played up the Bond and Bond girl-esque part of this instead of just the limited amount she was in.
She should have been the sidekick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which explains a lot when you think, I wonder which one of these writers took the lead on this because it's two of them, right?
Neil Purvis and Robert Wade.
Yeah, they wrote Casino Royale and Quantum, right?
They wrote every James Bond film since World Is Not Enough.
They've
written a lot of Bond movies.
That explains a lot.
Man, that's a great meal ticket right there.
Yep.
Yeah. They've only gotten the Bond girl right once?
What? Once?
In those movies from there?
Wait, so who was the right one?
Vesper Lynn.
Vesper Lynn from
Not Eva Green?
That's Vesper Lynn.
Oh, I was gonna say. So wait. So Eva Green.
Did they write the Christmas Jones one, or is that before them?
I think that's The World Is Not Enough.
Okay, that's Denise Richards.
Yeah, not great.
And Die Another Day is, I guess,
was
Rosamund Pike and
Berry.
Halle
That's
Berry.
Halle Berry. Yeah, that's not good either.
And then Quantum is that Olga
Kurylenko.
Yeah, and
I don't remember who's in Skyfall. Who's it?
Skyfall is technically
excellent.
M.
I think he kills the woman in Skyfall, doesn't he?
No,
no, that's the next one. That's with Christoph Waltz.
Spectre.
Spectre, yeah, he winds up killing the Bond girl.
Yeah.
This movie's better than Spectre. It's better than Quantum of Solace. As a Bond movie.
I liked Spectre. I thought that was pretty good.
I didn't hate Spectre. Quantum of Solace is garbage.
I was told that, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spectre. The only thing about Spectre is in my opinion, when I saw that the guy that played Moriarty in the Sherlock series was in Spectre, I was hoping he would be the villain, the main villain.
Oh, he's so good. I forget his escapes me.
Yeah, but I was like, oh yeah, that's a young actor who's really good as Moriarty. You know, he can be a really good villain that you can do multiple things of, because Spectre's supposed to be like this evil super group essentially. But they went with what it was. Was it Javier Bardem or was it Christoph Waltz?
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. Going back to now knowing the lineage of who wrote this Johnny English, you can see that they get enough of the spy genre right, but they miss bits and pieces and they get lucky sometimes in their writing with it. And this wasn't one of those times they got lucky.
No Time to Die has Ana de Armas. Yeah, she's
gonna
be awesome.
Yeah.
I love her.
I can honestly say I don't remember a goddamn thing about Spectre.
I think Dave Bautista is in it.
He is. Andrew Scott, I believe, is
Andrew Scott, yeah.
Who was also in 1917, I believe. Yeah. He played also the quote unquote hot priest from that show Fleabag that everybody was so obsessed with.
Okay.
That I watched an episode of with my wife and she was like, eh.
Yeah, his reveal as Moriarty is one of my favorite moments in watching a TV show, because they build it up for so long and then just the flip of his personality in that scene is really, really well done. So
are we saying that to make Johnny English better, we just turn it into Sherlock Holmes?
No. The way to make Johnny English better is to do what Ant said, which is essentially make it Naked Gun but a spy movie.
Yeah. The British version of Naked Gun.
Yep.
Where everyone's in on the joke.
Yeah, so everyone's a buffoon.
Yeah. So what's the English term or the British term for Naked Gun? I guess
is there a place to put an extra U somewhere in there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that goes.
I don't know.
Gun is just gun, right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't have guns there, but.
Oh, that's true.
Well, just
like
the batons don't.
No, Ant, I've been told that there's no guns in England.
There's farmland in England.
I guess it's just like something knickers. Can we put knickers in there? Because that's the only English term I know.
So Johnny English from 2003, directed by Peter Howitz, director of Sliding Doors, Antitrust, and Laws of Attraction, among others. Written by, as we mentioned, Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, writing team behind every James Bond film since The World Is Not Enough. It stars Rowan Atkinson, Natalie Imbruglia, Ben Miller, John Malkovich, Greg Wise, Tim Pigott-Smith, Roland Davies, and Tim Barrington. Has an IMDb score of 6.2 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 33%. Budget of $40 million. Box office only $28 million in the U.S., but made $160 million worldwide. So it was a success. Yeah.
I just thought something. I don't know. Again, I got to remember what the world was like in 2002 or 3 or whenever this would have been cast.
Really, really obsessed with DVDs, according to this movie. Everything's on DVD in this movie.
Yeah, but I was thinking they should have had that guy that comes in as Agent 1. They should have found a way to get like a Timothy Dalton or a Roger Moore to like just make a cameo for that role. But again, I don't know what those guys were doing or what their relationship was with wanting to be in that stuff.
Pretty sure Timothy Dalton was available.
Yeah. That would have been a cool cameo. Maybe they do it in other movies. Was there a cameo in Reborn, Dan?
I only saw 10 minutes of it, so I think there's a cat.
Okay.
At one point, maybe the cat makes
Timothy Dalton's cat's in Johnny English Reborn. Confirmed.
Yeah. I think that was what everyone really wanted. Just the. Yeah, there you go. See? Yeah.
There it is.
That's the cat. Thank you.
And joining us is Timothy Dalton's cat.
It's our first guest speaker. That's pretty cool.
Do you guys want to get into the plot?
Well, I was gonna say, what are the chances that Rowan Atkinson comes after me after hearing that?
He'd probably bungle it. I mean, that's
his MO. Right. I don't know if I'd be able to stand up to Rowan Atkinson the way I stand up to Clint Howard and and others.
And the girl from Stalked by My Doctor, The Return.
Well, I think I'm probably more afraid of her than Rowan Atkinson, because like you said, I feel like Rowan Atkinson would really just he would come out and like slip on a banana peel or something.
Sure.
And just knock himself out. I don't have to worry about him. The other girl's from Boise, Idaho. She's tough.
she's got a wrestling cattle.
Yeah, she's farmland tough, you know. Chopping wood. I think that's what they do in Boise, Idaho. I don't know. I've never been.
Her triceps are huge.
She tills the field. Is that what we're saying? Quads for days.
You guys want to get into the plot?
Sure.
All right. What do you got for us, Dan?
All right. So, as I've been doing every week for the past few weeks, I like to talk about our friend Tia from Geek Vibe Nation and give a shout out to her podcast, The Top 10 with Tia. It's a weekly podcast where Tia and her crew get together and they discuss top 10 lists of top 10 actors, top 10 Marvel movies, top 10 directors, top 10 girls from Boise, Idaho. Now they have to do that. That's canon. So go visit them at geekvibesnation, gvnation.com. Give her a shout out on Twitter, TC_Stark. She's a good friend of the podcast. She's a good person overall. Go check her out and give her your love.
All right. And we're going to take a minute to listen to some messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back with the plot of Johnny English.
Hey, this is 10M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy. From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked your ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell them.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope y'all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. And now it's time to get into the plot of Johnny English. We open on Mr. Bean attempting to sneak into what appears to be some sort of centuries-old estate. We get 2 guard dogs that get alerted to his presence, but he luckily has 2 squeaky toys with him, so he's able to divert their attention. And he was able to divert my dog's attention as well. As soon as he started squeaking it, Bailey went nuts.
So you're saying he's an effective spy?
At least in his dream. So Johnny English then rappels down into the estate and immediately is met by 2 guards dressed all in black with automatic weapons, manages to knock them out with their own guns. He then makes it into a room where he seems to find a collection of papers that he was looking for, and then the Countess turns on the light, pulls a gun on him, and tells him that he can't seduce his way out of this one, more or less. And then he does, but not until we dissolve out to realize that Johnny has been dreaming this whole time. And then
they linger on that joke for a little too long.
Yes.
With the close-up of his face.
Close-up is his face making kissy faces. Then Bog, Johnny's assistant, wakes him up, asking him for the mission documents he was supposed to have ready. Then Agent 1 walks in, the James Bond of this movie, I suppose.
Should have been a cameo.
Should have been a cameo, yeah. Bet you there were plans for it to be a cameo, but it fell through. Johnny, in real life, is apparently some sort of middle management type of MI7. He gives Agent 1 his mission documents, which includes the codes to the submarine hatch, which he checked himself, he assures Agent 1. So Agent 1 heads off, and Johnny admires him all starry-eyed. And then we cut to Agent 1's funeral, who died during the mission because the submarine hatch failed to open. So, officially, Johnny's first kill.
Yeah. How is he not immediately fired?
I don't think anybody realized that was the problem.
Oh, then that's just terrible.
Also, Johnny's a fucking liar.
Yeah.
He's not a good person. He's not a good person.
Because he'll do anything to throw people under the bus in this movie.
And make himself look good.
Yep.
Yeah.
He lies at every turn. He knocks out the secretary and pretends it didn't happen, and then he knocks out the head of security and then pretends that he fought off a... We'll get into all of this, but Johnny English is not a good person.
There's no way, even as the last resort, they should have called someone else up to be a special agent.
Well, no, it was like literally those are the only 2 special agents left.
It doesn't matter.
They should have called in the CIA.
Right.
Yeah,
at
we
this
need
point,
some help.
Yeah, you take a loaner. You guys got anyone? Please.
You Yanks got anyone over there for us?
Right, yeah, they just send, they send a burnout. Like, yeah, it's better.
I mean, Jeffrey Wright helps out in Casino Royale.
Yeah, send over Jeffrey Wright, for God's sake.
Johnny talks about how when an agent like Agent 1 dies, someone always rises to the occasion to take his place. Those people that he's talking about all then blow up by a bomb planted in the coffin, because they're all pallbearers for Agent 1. So then we cut to Pegasus, which I guess is this movie's cue.
Yeah.
Says that they only have 1 agent left. And cut to opening credits of Johnny English with music via Robbie Williams, which doesn't suck, actually.
No, it's actually
not a
pretty
bad
good
main
song.
title song.
Yeah.
It was too generic for me. I thought it was just like a royalty-free song.
It's better. That's a good way to describe Robbie Williams' music. No. I would say it was probably not the worst. As we're going with the Bond theme here, wouldn't be the worst Bond
in its
song.
era.
Yeah, definitely in its era.
The Madonna one was terrible. Die Another Day?
Yeah.
God, I don't understand you guys. I really don't.
I think you should just listen or watch the movies we're mentioning.
I have. They're not that bad. They're not great.
You haven't seen Quantum of Solace.
Well, I haven't seen Quantum of Solace, yes. I've seen the others.
But have you heard Die Another Day, the song?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's better than this. We're comparing levels of terribleness here. So
everything's relative, man.
Exactly. So, yeah, Die Another Day is, like level 2, like tier 2 terrible. This was level 4 terrible.
I think it's relative. So this is a better song than I think this movie deserves.
Yes.
I can't sit here and agree with that. I'm sorry.
Well, then go fuck yourself.
I forgot about it already. This movie
I don't remember
is
it
super
either.
forgettable.
So Johnny walks into Pegasus' office and tosses his coat out a nearby window, trying to impress the Pegasus secretary. That's the only joke that made me laugh for this whole movie. Is when he goes to do the Agent 1 move of throwing the coat onto the coat hook and then just goes out for some reason open window.
It's so telegraphed, man. You can see these jokes coming a mile away.
I didn't see the fact that there was an open window. I could see him throwing it on her, but just why is there an open window there? That made me chuckle. That was it.
That's what made you chuckle? Yeah. An open window.
It just goes right out the window because it's so stupid.
Unbelievable with you guys. I really thought it was going to be something better.
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
Then stone face for the rest of the movie. So the secretary gives him a few things to sign and a pen. He mentions that the pen reminded him of a standard issue pen for MI7, which shoots out a paralyzing dart, which he sets off and knocks out the secretary. So then Pegasus comes in and brings him into his office to brief him on the mission. The event is this is happening throughout this entire scene. The secretary is being attended to by paramedics. Johnny needs to attend an unveiling of the crown jewels at the Tower of London. The event is being attended by the Queen, and this whole restoration project was sponsored by Pascal Sauvage, a prison baron and one of the richest men in the world. Johnny then arrives at the gala and talks over with the head of security and Bog. Bog? Is that his name? Bog.
Yeah.
His right-hand man.
Yeah.
Bog. B-O-U-G-H. Bog.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is another moment where Johnny is not a good person, because immediately when he's put into this agent role, he's just completely shitty to Bog.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Essentially, it's him messing something up and Bog coming in and really just doing the job correctly. And then Johnny English kind of shitting on Bog for calling him out, essentially. Oh, did you mean to go over there, sir? I was doing a perimeter sweep. You should know better. Like,
yes,
dude,
sir.
You suck. You're so bad. It's not even man, none of this is funny. I don't understand it. I don't. In real life, this guy would have been fired immediately. Like, I feel like Bog would have shot him in the face.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that's why they went with the premise that they were the only two special agents left.
But one
that
of
they
them
couldn't possibly fire him.
One of them is actually competent, though.
Yeah.
So how is that guy not the guy? you promoted the guy who gave you the wrong numbers that got your top agent killed. How do you not promote the other guy?
Yeah, I feel like there should be a hearing regarding the events of that mission, and that would probably come out. But it doesn't seem like there has been.
Or something?
Yeah, a debriefing.
Yeah, or whatever they do over there. I don't know. They sit down at tea time and they kind of just like hurl passive-aggressive insults at him, like, "Oh, you really mucked that one up, Johnny." Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, I disagree. I really wish I had looked up a British like slang list before we started this this episode, because all I know is like lift and flat and the loo. That's about it. And mucked up. And I know that from like Call of Duty. That's as far as I go.
So he then spots Natalie Imbruglia, so he goes over to talk to her. She introduces herself as Lorna Campbell, and she worked on the restoration of the jewels. And Pascal Sauvage then attempts to introduce himself, and Johnny mistakes him for a waiter, and then badmouths him and the French while he waits to be introduced. So Pascal then goes off and then addresses the party in order to introduce the newly restored crown jewels. As he does, we see someone in the basement cut the power. Johnny then springs into action as the lights are off. He grabs a bottle of champagne and knocks a guy out that was coming down the stairs. Lights come back on, and it turns out the man was the colonel/head of security. So Johnny tells everyone that the assailant went into the next room, and he pretends to fight them off.
Yeah, this is definitely a gag that I'm assuming is more of a British or younger kid sense of humor.
Oh, I mean, this trope's been used forever. This is like a Looney Tunes trope.
I did quite enjoy the attempting to make it look like he was trying to choke him with the chair setup.
Man, I wish I could be as enthused as you guys are. I do.
I'm not saying we don't like it, and he's just like not good enough.
No, I want you guys to rip this apart with me.
I need you to be as miserable as I was.
I want to be on your level. I want to be able to talk and enjoy this with you guys. Even at your level of I was bored by it. I can't even be at that level.
So then he comes out and the lights come back on. So Johnny tells everyone that the assailant went into the next room to fight him off. When he comes out, he says that everything is now back in order and says the crown jewels are safe and sound. So he opens the security door to the crown jewels and they have been stolen. Surprise, surprise.
Dun, dun, dun. And he gives the whole thing like, oh, look how beautiful they are. He's not looking at him, that whole gag. And then he turns around, what? Where could they have gone?
Yeah. So then back at Pegasus' office the next day, Johnny debriefs and Pegasus asks him to describe the assailant so they could put together a computer representation of the person's likeness. I like that face that Dana's making right now. So Johnny gives a ridiculous description. He's got curly orange hair, an eye patch, banana-shaped scars on both cheeks, and the computer rendering looks like a pirate clown.
The payoff for this fuking joke. This might have angered me the most.
This was that.
Yeah. This was a long. This is a long joke. Like there's like it'd been funnier if it was like he makes a description and it winds up looking like Ronald McDonald or something like people know, just not just this hideous looking man with banana shaped, or like the Michelin tire man.
Yeah. Or you can even point the bit where he like maybe describes Pegasus.
Sure.
And they're like, that looks like me. Johnny,
essentially, he made a WWE create your own character.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And speaking of the payoff, watching this, I'll be honest, I literally heard you in my head going, fuck you, when it occurred, Dan.
Yeah, that was I finished the movie last night before I went to bed, and I'll tell you, man, that's not the way to go to bed. Like, you know how they say never go to bed angry? Never go to bed watching Johnny, because that's not the way you're supposed to do it. You're just going to wake up miserable the next day.
So Johnny and Bo then race off to the scene of the crime in the fancy aging car, the Aston Martin. At the Tower of London, Johnny briefs the police officers and nearly falls into the hole where the thieves came in, not even realizing that this giant hole is there.
Yeah, they basically played the same gag back to back, with the jewels and then this, where he's describing something and being really confident when the obvious answer is right behind him.
Yeah. So he sees the giant hole finally, so he sends Bog down into the hole, and Bog eventually gets stuck. So Johnny goes in after him and then falls and pushes both of them through the end to the end of the tunnel. In pitch black, Johnny then tries to sing in order to get a sense of the echoes in the hole, sort of like ultra sonic, sort of like bats do. Of course, it doesn't work, and he walks right into a wall almost immediately, but Bog finds a ladder and they both climb up it. The ladder then leads to a grating that has them coming up right to where the guys that sold the crown jewels are. Why those guys are still in the general vicinity after several hours is beyond me. They surprise the guys, but then Johnny loses his clip and his gun, and they have a shootout. Bad guys throw a smoke grenade, and they jump into a hearse and drive away. Bog and Johnny proceed on foot until they get to their car, which is being towed. So they then proceed into a car chase using the tow truck, with the car still trapped.
This is the moment where I realized how Europe is a little different. The fact that the tow truck is made by Mercedes-Benz. You see that emblem, and mostly when I've seen it over here, it's, on expensive cars and stuff like that. And here it's just on a city vehicle that tows cars away. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. They probably make other cars, too.
Yes, they do. And so we have a car chase. And the car chase actually doesn't suck.
It's not bad.
It's on James Bond level, but it's better than Johnny English deserves, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments like that. Yeah. When they do action scenes.
So they're driving, they're chasing. Johnny realizes that they will never catch them in the tow truck, so he climbs into the back and into the Aston Martin. Still attached to the tow truck, Bog swings the car out so it's dangling over traffic as they chase the hearse. Meanwhile, a woman on a motorcycle follows the hearse as well. They get to a stoplight and Bog drops Johnny and the Aston onto someone's trailer accidentally, and then Johnny actually does a pretty sweet reverse to get off of it. Is better than you would think that he would be capable of doing. And then Johnny follows what he thinks is the hearse to a cemetery and interrupts a funeral. He thinks it's all a ruse to bury the crown jewels in the grave, and then they'd come back for them in a couple weeks. He does everything from accusing the widow of being a phony to dancing on the casket until he realizes that the hearse driver is a different person. So he realizes that he followed the wrong hearse. So Bog comes up and says that Johnny is an escaped lunatic and he needs to bring him back to the asylum. And then we get a scene. We cut to, in the least obvious twist ever, John Malkovich winds up being the villain as he is the one that stole the crown jewels.
Yeah, he didn't look like a villain at all. And it was also John Malkovich.
It's essentially an episode of Law and Order, where the special guest is always the villain.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's very much like when Sean Bean shows up in something. You're like, there's a 95% chance that character's gonna die.
Right.
What they didn't do, which I was surprised, that Natalie Imbruglia wasn't in on it.
Yeah,
that's true. I'll give you that one.
Or the competent agent.
Yeah.
Sidekick.
Well, I thought it was either going to be the love interest or the actual MI7. I thought one of them. Sure. Yeah, I thought Pegasus might be behind it for some reason, but
yeah.
This movie's not good enough for that shit. All right.
Yeah, they didn't do a double twist. They didn't do a was that a Raven?
Well, that's essentially every Mission Impossible movie, right?
Sure.
Where they're MI6? No, what are they? They're I forget exactly what Ethan Hunt's.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But they're always the ones that betray Ethan Hunt in every single movie. I think ever since Mission Impossible 1, it's always been the government's betrayed you, and he still works for the government. So I figured, maybe they'll do something along those lines. Johnny English will be like they got rid of all of the competent agents because they knew, we have Johnny English. He's a moron. But then it just bites him in the ass.
Yep. They pulled that stunt in Get Smart too. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was the double agent.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, I wanted to point that out because Mark had pointed out at the beginning that Natalie Imbruglia should have been the sidekick, and I was like, all right, well that sounds like Anne Hathaway to Steve Carell's character in Get Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was actually in the TV show as well, right?
Yeah. Agent 99. Yeah, I guess Get Smart is a better version of this movie, which although I completely forgot that Get Smart exists in terms of that Steve Carell movie.
Yeah, and that's not a very good movie either.
Yeah.
So these are essentially
that TV show is so much better.
But, oh yeah, Inspector Gadget, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing here, I was the whole time, like I said, expecting to have a monologue from the partner being like the second in command to Pasquale. Like going, every day I have to watch you be a buffoon, sort of one of those speeches. When I've been overlooked, I was waiting for that speech to occur at some point. But I guess they went a little more straight with it. Just one villain and all that.
I got 2 other movies, though, so it could happen.
Yep.
So, it's John Malkovich. He has plans to try and usurp the throne and become King of England. Sauvage is a distant relative to the Queen of England, we should mention. And his goons say that in order for that to happen, he needs the Archbishop of Canterbury to do that. At the moment, they are capturing the Archduke of Canterbury's likeness to use as a mold for a mask. And then Sauvage also has Johnny English's house bugged, and just to keep tabs on him. So MI7 gets the identities of the 2 thieves and that they are in the employ of Sauvage. Pegasus rejects the idea that Sauvage is involved and forbids English from considering him a suspect, and English is not allowed to be within 100 feet of Sauvage at the event. So immediately, English starts giving Bog tasks and equipment to secure because he plans to break into Sauvage's headquarters. As they're planning this in the parking garage, one of Sauvage's men pops up from under one of the cars and starts shooting at them. They exchange fire, and then English's gun malfunctions, and the guy escapes onto a different level. So Bog and English try to track him down, with the guy escaping at every turn. English then sees a pair of legs on a higher level than him, so he grabs them and pulls them down, but it winds up being Bog. On the car ride home, English tells Bog that it must have been another goon that pulled him down and knocked him out, because there must have been multiple ones of them.
Yeah, and then Bog goes, "Then where were you?"
Yeah, just leave it.
Leave it. Yeah. Yeah, that was the main point when I started thinking about that twist with that. It's like him starting to not be as, accepting of Johnny English's answers.
Yeah. Him realizing that he's an idiot.
Yeah.
It never comes to fruition though.
No, you'd think. He then sees the motorcycle parked outside a sushi restaurant, so he goes inside and finds Miss Campbell. He tries to get info from her, but she's not giving anything. He then tries to pass himself off as a sushi expert and sees sea urchin, which apparently is pretty gross. He then gets his tie stuck in the conveyor belt, and she leaves.
That old guy.
Yeah, it's again, man, awful. Just it doesn't land at all, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of that was.
I don't
Just
either.
to allow her to get away.
But why not go with like the poison urchin gag, right? English doesn't know that. Was it pufferfish or what does he have?
Sea urchin.
He has sea urchin.
Sea urchin, that's poisonous, right?
I think you're thinking of blowfish.
Blowfish? Oh, okay. That's why you don't go with that gag then.
Yeah. She mentions the reason why sea urchin is gross.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because what do they pee out of their?
Yeah, they eat and do their business out of the same hole.
Right.
Take a shit out of their legs or something.
There you go. Gotcha.
Family show.
It's a family show.
Since when?
I'm sorry. I'm used to being on the Game Ball Pod. No.
And even then, it's borderline.
So then he gets his tie stuck in the conveyor belt and she leaves. Bog and English are then seen on a government plane go over a plan to infiltrate Savage's tower, which is apparently directly next to a hospital that has identicals to Savage's building. Bog jumps out of the plane first. He's supposed to turn off the alarm system to allow English to enter. Then English goes and lands quite impressively on the roof. He rappels down and infiltrates, but to the viewer, it's obvious that he has landed on the hospital. He thinks Savage has a lab that he's doing experiments on people. English then tries to help free an old man that is there for tests and starts accumulating doctors as hostages. He then demands to know where Savage's office is, and all the nurses and doctors just look out the window across the street. And then he turns and looks and he sees Bog through the window standing in Savage's tower.
Yeah, and the building, we should mention, has Savage written on the side of it.
Yep. He then tells the hospital staff that he's taken prisoner, that it's all been a test and that they passed. So then he leaves and he goes next door and Bog lets him in on the other side. They make their way up when they are stopped by a guard. English hits the guy with a ring that pierces the guard with muscle relaxer, and Bog knocks him out physically. They then snoop around and see a lab where they are testing a mask they made of the Archbishop on a stand-in, and notices a weird back tattoo on the stand-in. They then sneak into Savage's office and accidentally uncover Savage's plan via a DVD, and he wants the power that the Queen has. So then another guard shows up and English demands he tell him the plan, so English hits him with a truth serum needle ring. Instead, he has switched the rings and he hits him with a knockout ring and accidentally himself with it too.
Real quick.
Yeah.
John Malkovich says that the Queen has the most power out of any standing authority.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? I thought she was
100%
really just...
not true.
Yeah. What the fuck? What is going on here? Right, she's basically just a figurehead.
Yeah, she doesn't really have much power. I think that's actually a question on IMDb. Like, does the Queen really have as much power as they say in this? Like, no, she's basically nothing.
Yeah. I think it's just really tradition that she's there.
Yeah, there was a whole document written in the 1500s that sort of took the power away from her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Does the British monarch really have all the powers mentioned in the film? No, in practice, the Queen has no power, acting merely as a ceremonial head of state with most of his or her powers exercised by the government. In theory, she has certain powers to refuse to dissolve Parliament, to appoint anyone she likes as Prime Minister, dismiss a Prime Minister and his or her government, to refuse to give the royal assent to a bill, and to refuse the Queen's consent where direct monarchical assent is required for a bill affecting the prerogative hereditary revenues. But the idea that the monarch can arbitrarily seize land from its owner is fictional.
Good to know. So
and also, I'm assuming that spies don't go around and telling civilians that they are spies working for the spy company.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's got to be a big no-no.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I'm part of MI7, the secret spy network that you shouldn't know about.
Right. That would be like if, someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. just walked around like, yeah, I'm with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
This was just a test.
Or if you talk about Fight Club.
Oh, that's even worse. That's true.
So some more guards show up and catch English and the other guard rolling around on the ground until Miss Campbell shows up and hits them with a fire extinguisher. Miss Campbell identifies herself as Interpol and says they've been tracking Savage for months. because Savage has been employing criminals that have been released from his own prisons. They have a run-in with the guard that he thought that he knocked out with the muscle relaxer, but he actually gave him the truth serum, so they ask him how to get to the party, and then knock him out again. They go down to the party as English is still under the muscle relaxant, so he makes a fool of himself until Campbell takes him to the dance floor and dances with him in an effort to look less conspicuous. Savage sees him because he knows who Johnny English is because he's seen his face, so not very conspicuous at all. Savage then talks to Pegasus and tells him that English and Bog have broken into his office and have assaulted his staff. Pegasus orders Bog to go home and take English off the case. Savage then makes a call to his staff, changing the plan. He stops the phony Archbishop plan and orders his men to pay a visit to the Queen. At the palace, armed guards just walk right into the Queen's office and point a gun at her and her dog until she signs an abdication letter. This is all very anticlimactic.
Right. Yeah, she's just like, okay.
Here's a very complicated plan that I've had to try and get the throne. But there's a secret agent is too close, so I'm just gonna force my way into her quarters and just demand that she signs this.
That's the problem with this movie, right? They build up this whole big plan from John Malkovich, and he just goes to plan B like it's nothing. Like, oh, like, why don't I just take this by force? Like, oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
It's so anticlimactic. It's such a bad twist.
So then the next morning, the Prime Minister informs Savage that he's now the rightful heir to the throne. Again, super anticlimactic. One of the goons drops off the crown jewels to the police, and Savage arranges for his immediate coronation.
In the middle of London.
Yep.
He's carrying the fucking crown jewels.
Yep, and it's like an open bag too. Yeah. So we see that the crown is in there.
He literally drops it off in front of a precinct.
Yep.
You don't think it's all of a sudden London turned into fucking 24 hours later, or 24 days later, or whatever. This is ridiculous.
Campbell shows up at English's flat and tells him the case was reassigned to her and she wants his help. She tells him that Savage is meeting at his French chateau with 13 of the biggest criminal masterminds in the world. He refuses, but she shows him that he still has some fight left in him by trying to attack him, and he blocking all her blows, and they take the Aston Martin to France.
It's the first time we see that, by the way, that he actually knows how to fight.
Yeah. He has like brief glimpses of like, oh yeah, I'm a secret agent. Like the whole Aston Martin off the back of the truck thing, that's cool. And then him landing perfectly, besides the fact that it was a hospital, he landed perfectly on the hospital, on the roof. Like he landed on like the ledge, and then this.
It wouldn't it have made more sense that when they first met, she goes after him and he's like, obviously he's so inept that she just lands blow after blow on him, right? That would make more sense, no? To this scene.
For this movie, yes. It feels like they're trying to do something here where it's like, oh, like Johnny's not as helpless as he seems, but he's completely helpless except for these 3 moments.
Right. It like makes no sense.
Like he saves the day by being a buffoon.
Yeah.
Like if the third act is him like realizing his skills as a secret agent in order to save the day, that would be different. Like you see these glimpses of like, look, he could drive an Aston Martin really well. Right. He can, when he needs to, he could defend himself in a fight, and he could fly, he could parachute perfectly onto a high rise. Those 3 things he does really well in this movie, but it doesn't pay off that he can do them well.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about when he has his Jason Bourne moment in the apartment where he goes to punch him.
He's blocking the blows.
Yeah.
It should have been, I don't know if you gentlemen have ever seen Beverly Hills Ninja, but that's what you just described.
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah. Like where Chris Farley is just so terrible at being a ninja, but in the third act, his brother is, he's in danger, so all of a sudden it like kicks in his ninja fighting style, and he starts kicking ass. That's what it should have been, where he's backed into a corner and he just instinctually whips out the spy skills.
Yeah. It should be like he's a buffoon because he just is trying too hard, really. He's trying to put on these airs. He's seen all the James Bond movies, so he's trying to pretend to be what he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That should be the reveal. It's like, Johnny, you just got to be yourself, and everything else will come.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it should be, the reveal. But he just he fucks it up anyway at the end, but he winds up saving the day.
The ending is terrible.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's grating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like, why? I don't know what they were thinking with that turn, because in this scene we find out like pretty much John Malkovich's character lays out his evil plan, and he has hard copy of it, physical evidence, and it never comes into play again.
Yeah.
Well,
he doesn't have hard evidence. He takes the wrong hard evidence.
Well,
that's the bit.
Johnny English takes the wrong evidence, but the evidence is there. He just fucks it up.
Yeah. So she finally convinces him, and they take the Aston Martin to France. And then there's a scene that is supposed to mock those sexual tension scenes in Bond movies between Campbell and English. And they're off to infiltrate Sauvage's chateau. English then says that he's done a thorough search, and the only way is through the sewer pipes. So he goes there and comes out a toilet covered head to toe in shit. Campbell immediately finds another way in via a ladder, which I had to play this back twice, and this was just a very small thing. It doesn't really make the movie worse or better, but it's so obvious that it's like a stunt person in a wig while she's climbing up the ladder, because the wig is not pulling off what we think like Natalie Imbruglia hair looks at it. It looks a little more like puffed out, and she's got a little more junk in the trunk.
That's what gave it away.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that doesn't look like her from what we've seen.
I didn't notice, to be honest.
Like I paused it so I could catch it on my notes, and I'm like, oh well, that's weird.
That doesn't look like her. We've been duped.
Yeah. So after Campbell immediately finds another way in. She then catches up with Johnny, who stinks like shit, so she throws him into a shower to wash the stink off. They both eavesdrop onto Sauvage's dinner with the evil masterminds, and he lays out his plan. It turns out that his plan is to turn England into a giant prison, which I guess then he's just going to make money off of because he is a prison baron. And then they hear that, so Campbell and English try to create a plan to stop Sauvage, but English accidentally turns on a mic and broadcasts his plan into the dining room so everyone hears. So English puts his plan into action and is immediately foiled by some guards. Though the guards still allow English to get a shot off, but his gun was full of literal shit and it doesn't fire.
That was weird, right?
So yeah, he could have killed Sauvage right there.
Yeah, if I'm Sauvage, I'm like, what do you guys are all fired. You guys are, or killed. I'm killing you now.
Yeah. It's like, I'm lucky that he's an idiot.
Right.
Because you guys didn't do your job.
How long are you gonna let him point the gun at me there, fellas?
How many shots are you gonna let him try?
Right. Yeah. How lucky could you be, really? I thought that to myself. I was like, he's still holding the gun there, and he's talking about ending him.
Yeah.
Like, I will never allow you to take England, and pulls the trigger. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. Maybe one of them wanted to just like, let's see how this plays out. I'm interested right now. Right.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
So Sauvage then goes to get coronated, leaving English and Campbell tied up in his chateau. As they try to escape, Bog comes in through the sewer like English and helps them escape. So they drive back to England to stop the coronation while Bog smells like shit. At the coronation, English knocks out one of the bishops and stands in front of them. Hold on a second. This cat's going to start making some noise.
He knows.
Ted, are you settled? At the coronation, English knocks out one of the bishops and stands in for them. So the archbishop asks the three bishops if they approve the coronation. English jumps up and objects, and they then accosts the archbishop, trying to remove what he still thinks is a mask. Campbell, meanwhile, is having a fight with one of Sauvage's goons, who has a sniper rifle. English then pulls down the archbishop's pants to try and show the tattoo that he had seen. Something about Jesus is coming.
Yeah, what is it? It's are you prepared for Jesus or something like that?
Jesus is coming. Are you prepared, or more or less? It's some joke, sort of, but I don't remember what it is exactly. And obviously, as we know, it's the real archbishop this time, not the original plan. So he doesn't have that tattoo. So Sauvage then orders the guards to take English away, and as he's being let out, he tells Bog to play the DVD that they took from Sauvage's that details his plan. But it winds up being a DVD of the surveillance of Sauvage's planted in English's bathroom, and it's of him dancing to ABBA. And during the distraction, English runs off. So then Sauvage orders them to continue the ceremony, and then English swings in on a rope and steals the crown. Savage then shoots at English, knocking the crown out of his hand and demands to be crowned. Before Savage's crown, English drops on him and gets crowned instead. He then orders the guards to take Savage away. And that's the climax of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Savage basically says, I'm evil, and blows the whole plan because he's just annoyed. He had enough of Johnny English's buffoonery.
Yep. As did we all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, about an hour ago.
Eventually, English returns the crown to Queen Elizabeth II and asks to be knighted. English then takes Campbell to a romantic getaway to the south of France, and as they are about to kiss, he accidentally pushes the eject button on the Aston Martin, and she goes flying out of the sunroof.
It would have been great if she just broke her neck on landing.
Don't you speak ill of Natalie Imbruglia.
It would have been better.
Then we get a mid-credit scene of her landing in a pool at a resort that Bog is at, along with the weird-looking man that English described in the beginning. And that's the end of Johnny English, Dan's favorite movie we've ever done.
God damn it, that ending. That's the anti-Marvel end credits scene. Where everyone's waiting and oh, who are they gonna introduce? What are they gonna do? If Marvel had done something like that, it would have ended Marvel. That would have been there would be no MCU. We would have never have gotten Endgame. And yeah, everyone would have just been. It would have been 2020 before 2020. That's what that ending is. That's the 2020 ending of movies.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I was bored, but I think in the script, script-wise, like I said, I think there are worse Bond movies that these two guys have written. I think it's not funny, but as a Bond script, it's not terrible.
I agree.
I'm being very harsh on it. At the worst, it was super boring.
Yeah.
The jokes just didn't land for me.
I was not getting that vibe at all, Dan, from you.
Yeah,
you didn't like this movie.
Well, I think I went a little overboard with my hatred of it. I think like I said, the biggest problem it introduced us was just it's repetitive and boring. The jokes are too close together. They don't get a chance to really breathe and be their own joke. It's how many weird situations can we put Mr. Bean in? Because like we said, he's known for being slapstick. How many jokes can we fit into a scene?
Yeah.
That's essentially why I think we agreed early on that the only way to make this movie better, maybe they do it with the other two, we're probably not going to find out, unlike Stalked by My Doctor, is that maybe they make it more Naked Gun, as they go on, figure out. But I don't think it works as well as they thought, dropping the buffoon character into the straight action movie, because it gets the reactions like Dan has.
Sure.
But
I guess Leslie Nielsen has made this movie. It's called Spy Hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. I totally forgot that movie existed.
Yeah.
Never saw it though. Can't imagine it being very good.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I loved every Leslie Nielsen movie I ever saw. Dracula Dead and Loving It. Loved it.
I love that movie gets a bad rap. I love that movie.
Yeah. But
that was one of the last Mel Brooks movies, right?
Yeah. I don't remember the last movie. I guess the producers was.
Yeah, maybe he did something with that.
Huh.
I don't know if he made it, but yeah, I think to make this movie better, I like the idea that Mark had, where Natalie Imbruglia is the partner who's just constantly bailing him out, and he shows signs of being a competent agent, and then just overthinking things, and then maybe he finds his zen towards the end, and he's able to stop John Malkovich.
Yeah.
And you got to do something with that ending. I mean, literally anything. Just even if you trick him into showing the DVD of his master plan, not just having John Malkovich have a mental breakdown and discuss how he's bad. You can't do that. That's kind of insulting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I think we've kind of laid out how we would make this movie better. Like I said, it was boring and the ending isn't very fulfilling. So, yeah. Plug your shit.
Sure. At DAquino122, personal Twitter. At Stranger Damies on Twitter and Instagram. For the fourth month in a row, this podcast, They Called This a Movie, and Stranger Damies has been featured on the top 50 podcasts of the month. So yeah, 4 in a row. We're still going strong. Thank you for those who voted for us. Thank you for, listening. We truly appreciate it. And thank you to our good friend Jake for picking this awful, boring movie. We're going to have a talk, Jake. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for that. If you want to recommend a movie, please message us. We would be more than happy to tear apart the movie you want us to watch.
And we have our other 2 podcasts. Stranger Damies airs every Wednesday. That's our D&D podcast. You can find that everywhere at Stranger Damies, on Twitter and Instagram as well, at Stranger Damies. And then we have our video game podcast, Game Vault Pod, and that airs every other Monday, so be sure to check that out. We also stream on twitch.tv/Game Vault Pod every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday, and Sunday, and every other Monday. The easiest way to keep track of the schedule is just to follow us on Twitter. It'll either be a pinned tweet or we will tweet out a few hours beforehand when we're going live. We have set shows like Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday tend to be solid those days. And then the Dead by Daylight stream floats between Friday and Saturday. So just keep a lookout. That's the best way. Be sure to just reach out with any questions, recommendations for games or topics on Game Vault Pod. And I'm always looking for fan art for the D&D side. So feel free to send that stuff along.
Okay. And we're They Called Us a Movie. You can find us at theycalledusamovie.podbean.com and on all podcast streaming apps, just searching They Called Us a Movie. We're also on all social media by searching The Main Damie, and themaindamie.com is our main website. You go on there, themaindamie.com, find all our articles, podcasts, everything there we put there. We are also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com and on all podcasts and social at Geek Vibes Nation. So just search for Geek Vibes Nation. We'll pop right on up. Our show's there, a bunch of other great shows that I am not going to try and name tonight. And yeah, just check them out. Give them a follow. That'd be great. Give us a follow. Again, The Main Damie is on all social media there. So that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at The Main Damie. We are fast approaching episode 100. Next episode you hear will be episode 100 for this podcast. So we're very excited about that. We got a special movie lined up for it, and then we're probably going to have a special episode soon after that. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions or comments, you want to suggest a movie to us, check out themaindamie@gmail.com. You can hit us up there, or hit us up on Twitter. It's probably the best place to get a hold of us. And that's it. We got October coming up, so we're gonna be doing some horror movies shortly. We're very excited about the next few weeks coming up. So don't forget, if you got the time, if you like us, go on to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and a review. That would help us out a great deal. So that's gonna wrap it up this week. I am Anthony Delvecchio. You can find me on Twitter at AntDelvec. And the director of Johnny English is Peter Howitt. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Delvecchio telling Peter Howitt, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you?